God began to speak to me, gave me a word that I should pray that the wheels not come off his van. And I prayed, and the next thing I practically pounced on the family when they came through the door was, you've got to go to a mechanic right now and get your wheels checked.
Yeah.
And you went with him, remember,
I went with
Mike?
David. We got into his van, and we went to a mechanic, and we said, we really need you to check the wheels of this van. So they pulled them, and the mechanic came up to us with the bearings. They're about this big, with the bearings that hold the wheel onto the axle, and he said, there's absolutely no reason that your wheel should not have come off the axle. These are totally worn out. And so there, because of the prophetic word that you'd gotten and then the intercession that you'd done, we had a trophy of intercession.
Yeah, I prayed that the wheels would stay on the van all night.
Well, I remember some years ago when the President of the United States was caught engaging in oral sex. Cindy and I talked ourselves in. We said, this is going to open a door that is going to cause just an outpouring of demonic into our nation. All of a sudden, kids started having sex parties where they were having oral sex. Why? Because the President said, oh, that's not really sex.
Yeah, that's
So it took it out of the dimension of being wrong, and so it opened the door for the future generations. We were having one of those amazing storms that was coming. The radio said there were tornadoes all in the area, and I remember you and I were doing what we'd been taught to do. We were going out and we were rebuking the storm, and nothing happened, and we were so upset. I remember going to bed, and I'm just really upset that it didn't seem like the storm was listening to us. And so we're laying there, and all of a sudden we hear the pitty-pat of little feet. Our daughter's about 5 at the time. And we hear a door open to our back porch, our screened-in porch, and the door slams, and then we hear our little daughter say, I told you to be quiet in Jesus' name. And the storm just went and stopped. And I was really upset because I was happy the storm stopped, but I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Cindy and I, we're the adults, and we went out there and we rebuked the storm, and nothing seemed to happen. And our daughter, who's a little 5-year-old, who's heard the word all her life, goes out there and rebukes the storm, and it stops. I remember when we were in Hemet, California, and you prayed for a lady. Now, this lady had had a full hysterectomy.
Yeah.
If you've had a full hysterectomy, believe me, you're barren. What I don't recall, and remind the viewers, was this woman believing for a child, or did she ever testify that what it was? Because what happened is, she went to the doctor because she was feeling odd, and she said, I think I'm pregnant. And the guy says, obviously, he's the doctor who performed the operation, and he knew he'd taken out all of her parts. He said, you know, look,
you couldn't be,
there's no way that you can be pregnant.
I did your surgery.
Yeah, I'm the one who did it. I know you don't have the parts.
Yeah, you cannot be pregnant.
But what happened when he examined her?
Well, she was pregnant.
Yeah, and how could she possibly be pregnant?
Because God is a creator.
Completely replaced.
Completely replaced.
Well, there are many things I could share with you today. I really wish that the back room that we're in before we come out here was big enough for you all to be in there. We have the most interesting conversations in there. There may be a couple thousand of you out there, and it's no different than if I was just sitting across a table just sharing with you personally. One day, I got very angry with God. The Lord had told us that we were to go and attend a certain church and become members there. I didn't like that denomination. I didn't want to be with them. And sometimes I think He doesn't even care if we like it or not. He may have you go and be with groups and you don't even like those groups. He may even humiliate you with those groups. And so we're going to this church, and these people are very concerned for Cindy and me. I'm going, are you out of your mind? I like that. Say that again loud. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Are you crazy? You've got to understand how upset I was with God about these people saying, well, the only true baptism has to be done in Jesus' name. And here's what He made me do, and this was so humiliating. I want you to go to the man who's the most religious spirited of all of them and ask him to baptize you. Oh, I was mad with God. But I may be mad with God, but I'm not stupid. I don't like religious spirited people. Spiritual people, yes. Religious spirited people, not so much. Even though I will allow myself, when God forces me to be in unity with Him.